Okay then, so another Alesis dm10 modification video, and this time I want to show you how I've actually fitted on my bass drum pad, kick drum pad, onto my frame. Show you some of the settings, some of the sizes and dimensions of where it's actually positioned, and some of the bolts and the wing nuts and so on. I think I'll do a bit of reverse engineering, so it is actually fixed at the moment, so I'll take it off and show you how I removed the kind of rigid plates there, metal plates. And also on the sound module, I'll just come to this, reduce the brightness a little bit. Some of the settings I've actually got on my sound module, because when I was thinking about fitting this, I thought, well, hang on, if you actually fit something to the frame, make it a bit brighter there, fit something to the frame, obviously you're going to get vibrations and that could trigger the other pads. So if I just show you as I hit my pad, I'll try and stand up and hold my phone at the same time. It is nice and rigid, right? It doesn't move anywhere. I prefer it a lot more to the frame, and the reason why I didn't like the frame before, because it did slip around. I don't know if you found that. I mean, if it's up against the wall like it sometimes was there where the wall was, it was okay, but when I was perhaps using this at practice and so on, it did slip around, so I need to make it obviously static and not actually move around. So I just want to show some of the settings. If I just basically show my sound module there, and again, let's try and get in focus, there we go, and note chase, you know, if you press note chase and if I hit snare, that's going to show whichever pad you're hitting. So if I hit my kick drum pedal, you can see it's not actually going to trigger anything else at all. So sensitivity is up at 80. If I go to trig there, X torque receive is on 2, X torque send is on 2, retrigger 15 and threshold 19. Now play around first off with the X torque receive. I usually, if I've still got bits of I don't know, a kick drum or snare drum still triggering, then I play around with the X torque send. If I go to a snare, I've only actually got X torque receive there. Cymbal, that's the first symbol there, by the way. That is on X torque receive there. Some, like my first tom, I did try playing around with X torque receive first. I had one or two triggering issues, so then I started playing around with the send. But again, keep them quite low. I've made another video about some of the settings on this, but I say you can play around. As you can see, they're all different. In fact, I'll just quickly show you. So you could pause this. Actually, grab a stick. Well, there's a stick. I will go through, so if you want to play, remember I've got Blue Jay on this as well. It's not the kind of standard Alesis dm10 sound module settings you do get. So I'll go through it quickly because I do want to talk about my bass drum pad, but you can pause it, I suppose. That's my fourth tom, perk 3. Go to my ride, which is 2 zone at the moment. And sometimes it does come with perk 1 head and ride, depends how hard you actually hit it. But and then the final cymbal. So I hope that helps. But I say that's just my settings. Yours might be slightly different. Let's bring that brightness up again. So anyway, off we go. Now if we do look, before I take this off, I'll take a few measurements here. Let's come back a little bit further. If you look at my bass drum pad, it is slightly to the right, it's not bang in the centre there, and that's the way I wanted it. I thought before I was actually going to drill any holes, I wanted it positioned correctly. It's how I want to, well, how I prefer to play. So basically I put the bass drum pad where I find it comfortable, and then measured from that right vertical pole there to the centre of the pad, and then put a mark on that cross member, which will be this pad here with a pencil behind it. So because it's getting quite late, I did find a tape measure, but it's my wife's tape measure. So she's probably having a fat month or something like that, or a fat week again, that's why it's probably out. It is in inches. because I'm English, we do work in metric, so I'm sure Americans or anyone who works in Imperial, you can work it out. So, excuse if the camera goes a bit dodgy, but I'm going to try and measure it from the side there. Right, so that is 31 centimetres, or I work in millimetres because I'm an engineer, 310 millimetres. So then you put a pencil mark on the cross member, and then you can start measuring out. Let's take my pedal off here. 2 holes. Now all you need to drill is 2 holes. Now again, please excuse me while basically, if I look behind this, I know, sorry, it's a bit dark there, but I can try to show my fingers. There is just basically, oh sorry, there we go. There's 1 wing nut and a 2nd wing nut, and I'll tell you the centres between those. So just to do those, let's get them off. There's the other one. Off it comes, and I'll come back out to the light so you can see a little bit clearer. Take the jack plug out as well, and there we go. So looking back at the cross member at the moment, it's a little bit darker. Can I make that brighter? A little bit. Like I said, I've got some pipe lag in there. Basically, pipe lag in there, pipe lag in there, and just 2 holes. There's 1 there and 1 there. So as I was talking about measuring the 310 from this pole here to the centre there, in fact you can just, well, I can see actually still the pencil mark there that I used. Then I measured out to that hole and then to that hole. Now the pipe lagging, I think it was like an old kind of sit-up machine. You know, like sit-up. It's not a machine, but a sit-up. I don't know what it is. When things just sit down and you roll. It was just one of those that never kind of got used. So it had some foam on it, and luckily I found those. Now, pipe lagging. Excuse me, I'll just go to my airing cupboard. With work shirts. This is pipe lagging there. So if no one knows what it is, but you can buy it from like B&Q and places like any DIY shops. Now, thinking on, there's no reason why that couldn't actually go inside of the frame. Measuring this frame, I think it's about 40mm diameter, so you could pop it inside and that might reduce the vibrations. To be honest, I don't know, even not having the actual lagging at all, whether that would still trigger other pads. But again, for me it's trial and error. It worked this way and I've kind of left it there because again it is a bit of hassle to take the cross member off and all the vertical poles and so on. And again, it will look a bit nicer if you have got your lagging inside, aesthetical reasons I suppose, if you are playing live and so on. But that's, I thought at least it's a bit of foam that will stop vibrations. So looking at the back, I'll try and stand this up against my guitar amp. So how it came was, that's something like that, and then there's this bottom bit which goes along there. I shouldn't need to do a video of share to take it apart. It's just some set screws and just some bolts and nuts on there which you can simply undo. On here, I can't remember off the top of my head which ones there actually were. I think there was perhaps another plate on there as well, saying there was these 4 holes. But anyway, take it off, and if I show the picture, a video of how mine looks now, then you can get yours to something similar. If I'll have to try and remember as well, I've added these on. Got my voice going, sound like a teenager. Sorry, it's a bit late. I've had a couple of beers. Where were I? Right, you're talking about bolts. Right, so these 2 bolts in there, I will just measure them, see how long they are. They are 6mm. So M6 bolts, and the length of them, so let's put my phone down again just for 1 second, bear with me. They are 60mm long. Hang on, turn it the right ways again, it's upside down, sorry. So M6 by 60mm long. Now, to actually put them in there, if you notice at the moment, they can't come out, they do get caught. But if you loosen them 2 bolts at the front there, this kind of let's put it against there, this kind of U-shaped plate will come off. You can put 2 bolts in, then refasten it so they're not going to come off. So at the back of these 2 holes on my frame, I've just got a wing nut, M6 wing nut, and then an M6 nut on both sides there, and that's just enough to secure it. The bottom bits here, I noticed that it did rock around a bit. If you think when you're actually attaching your bass drum pedal and it attaches to here, some of the sides were sometimes wobbling. Now that's just like an M3 by the looks of it, bolt by about roughly 25-30mm, and I don't know where I got these rubber feet from off the top of my head, to be honest. I don't know, but again, if you went to B&Q, set the anglers, and that stops it from kind of rocking from side to side, where you might get, because if you think of, obviously, my pedals there, it is quite narrow where it's sitting, so if you've got more stability on the sides, you're going to have less rocking and a bit more nicer to play. The bass drum pad itself, I try and get that as loose as possible, because obviously it is it's 10mm that into it, sorry, 10-inch diameter. So I want to get that as kind of as floppy as possible, because if you've got a 22-24-inch bass drum off the skin, the way I have it anyway, is kind of a lot looser. So if I just measure the distance between the two holes, again, just bear with me a second while I'm just going to measure the distance between, obviously, centre of there and centre of that one. And it is hang on, just double check with this. It is, by the looks of it, 75mm. Alright, so 75mm between there. Now, if you get it slightly out, I would say I would drill them holes, even if you drill them to like 7mm, even 7.5, even 8mm, to be honest. If I was to drill them holes 6mm, obviously, and my set screws there are 6mm, you're going to have to get absolutely spot on. So if you make the holes a little bit bigger, there's a kind of a tip, it'll take up any kind of measuring or drilling issues you have. Now, if you were to get a drill as well, imagine my hand being the drill, and to drill straight on to the metal bar, it would slip. If you think a metal point going onto that bar there, it would slip. So you want to get like a little centre punch and hammer, or I think what I might have used, because I did it at home, I might just use like a nail and just a hammer, just to make a little like divot point in there first, so the drill sits into it, and it's going to stop that from actually slipping around. But again, double check all these, because I've had a couple of beers, so I could be saying absolutely anything now. But I think overall I've kind of covered. Have I covered everything? The holes in that, the lagging, how this looks. Yeah, save it just in case. Let's say 310 from there. But obviously you can, I don't know the distances, but obviously you can find half of that if you wanted it half of there. And I think overall that's it for that. So I said I'd make it nice and quick. I've been nearly 13 minutes now, but I've not bored you too much. So thanks for watching, and also some great comments. Please, anything else you want, I'm more than happy to show you anything, but I'll give a quick review of my kit, because it sounds fantastic. I think one of the next videos I'll do is showing, I think I've set Blue Jay up perfectly now for some of the sounds in there. It's still not as good as Easy Drummer, but it's definitely getting there, and I don't have to mess around with the laptop and plugging that in, because my laptop is getting a bit old now. So, thank you, and good night, and please keep the comments coming, and subscriptions and so on, pass it on to people, because obviously we're all drummers, so it'd be nice to stick together, and if I can help people out, then obviously I'm more than happy to do that. Okay, thank you, bye-bye.